So I'm really excited to be here. We don't have a lot of time, okay? So I'm going to be going over a lot with you guys today. Let me tell you what this is not going to be. All right, this is not going to be some dude up here in a suit telling you how to live a better life, right? Everything I share here is going to be one of two things. It's going to be my own personal experience of how I've grown personally and professionally, as well as strategies and tips you can take away and use for yourselves in your career, but also in your lives. Raise your hand if you've got kids in this room. Awesome. Raise your hand if you have a significant other, spouse, people you care about in your life. Okay, well, awesome. I was hoping everyone would raise their hand on that last one. Super cool. So my outcome for you is to empower you to create a plan to move forward for yourself personally and professionally towards what I like to call self-mastery. Now, that's a loaded phrase. A lot of people are like, what's self-mastery? It means something different to everyone. We're going to talk about it. As well as to download strategies that are going to help you to continuously level up your game, both personally and professionally. It sounds like a mouthful of stuff, but I swear it's going to be a fun time. We're going to have a good time. You do have the chance to win something, which I'll talk about here in a second. Okay? So today we're going to talk about the 5 P's of self-mastery that you can apply immediately. We're going to talk about the 5 pillars of an extraordinary life, and we're going to talk about the magic ingredients to peak performance in your life and your business. Raise your hand if that sounds cool. Raise your hand if you want to perform at your peak. Okay. Thank God. Okay. So again, my first question before I tell you who I am is, what do you believe self-mastery to be? When you hear that phrase, what does that mean? Any answer is a good answer.
Be proficient in something.
Be proficient in something. Okay. Be proficient. What else?
I think self-mastery it sounds like a process. So it's like the pursuit of constantly improving yourself to be the best version of who you can be.
Yeah, well said. Pursuit of constant improvement. I love that. Raise your hand if you feel that you are constantly improving. Yeah, I mean, this is literally Rochester's finest. You're some of the finest professionals in the entire region, right? So you're already doing these things that we're going to talk about, but even just one thing that you take away here could take you to that next level in your life, could give you a new idea that sprouts a new opportunity, whatever it might be. What else? Thank you, by the way, for both of you. What else? Does anything else come to mind when you think of self-mastery? Interesting. Tell me more. What does that mean?
Well,
yeah, know yourself. Kind of going along with what you mentioned at the beginning, it's being proficient, knowing yourself. We don't all have the ability to become the most proficient at anything, right? And you know, we've heard growing up, you can do anything, you can be anything, and it's great. I mean, it's incredible self-talk. I'd rather say that than the opposite. But the reality is, us in here, and maybe some of us, but all of us, we're not necessarily going to become the next LeBron James, right? We're not necessarily going to become the next Tiger Woods, right? You're like, hey, man. He was walking out now, right? Go to the bar. Is there anything else here that sticks out?
Maybe you got to take risks.
Take risks. Yeah. When you say that, what do you see in your mind? What are you thinking?
If you're going to become your best person, you got to take some, you got to get uncomfortable at some points. You got to do things that are going to make you a better person. We talk about trying to master ourselves. Like, if you're not pushing yourself to become a better person and take some risks, like, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Very good. So check this out. Kyle, where's Kyle? There you are. You did an incredible job introducing me. I can't say it any better. I work with sales teams. I work with corporate teams to help them level up. I didn't just start doing that, though. Like, the person that I was 7 years ago wouldn't be in front of this room talking to you. He would be stuttering. He would be nervous. He would have hardly any self-confidence. He was making a lot of money for himself. He was doing well, quote unquote, well, professionally, but I definitely wouldn't have been in this room with you right now. And I want to go over my story with you. But before I do, I'd like you to take your phones out, actually, if you will. Take your phones out. And I'd like you to scan that QR code right there on that screen. Everyone know how to scan a QR code? I think with the pandemic and restaurants and ordering, we have a really good idea of how to do that. Go ahead and scan that QR code. It's going to bring you to LinkedIn. And connect with me on LinkedIn. And if your phone says join LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn. So important. You don't create it right now, though. Just connect with me later. For those who participated, by the way, you're going to notice a book in front of you. This book is called Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery. All right, this book talks about the 5 areas of living an extraordinary life. that we're going to talk about today. My goal is for every human being in this room to leave with a copy of that book because I have enough. All right, to get a copy, participate. Right? What does participation look like? Someone yell something out. Anything.
Yelling something out.
Yeah, interrupting me is okay. Like, that's completely cool. Actively engaged. Yeah. There's actually a study that was done that says if you simply listen, then it's better than not being here at all. But if you just simply listen and leave here today, you'll take away 10% or less of what it is we talk about. If you listen and you take notes on the piece of paper in front of you, you'll take away 40 to 50% of the information after 30 days of being here. If you take notes, listen, and what you just said, actively engage, you'll take away 90% or more of the information that we talk about today. Okay? Does that sound cool? Okay, we want to take something away from this. So again, I wouldn't be here 7 years ago. I mean, I started in sales when I was 18 years old. I'm 28 now, so it's been a decade. I met Kyle at Cellular Sales. You were another lifer of Cellular Sales for a while. How long were you there? A decade?
I was there for 13 years.
13 years.
So landed me in the great state of New York.
I love that. Super cool. So I've been working with Kyle when he was there, and I've been working with Cellular Sales for a decade myself. I started there when I was 18 years old. I worked at Walmart before that, just customer service, retail. I did the normal things that you do when you're a teenager and you work for a summer job. I worked for Six Flags for years. And when I was in high school, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I was like, I'm going to start going to school. And I started working at Walmart, and they had this cool deal where they actually gave you money off for a specific college to go to school. So I was like, I'm going to do that. But 6 months into working at Walmart, my manager at the time came up to me and said, Brandon, you're doing a great job here, but the person whose job you took over is actually coming back from leave. And we're going to either offer you one of two options. I was selling phones at this time. So when I was doing it Cellular Sales, I was selling phones at Walmart. They do that, believe it or not. I stocked the toilet paper aisle, and then I went and sold you a cell phone. Literally the same guy. And my manager was like, you can either go push carts or you can go to the grocery section. And I was like, very honorable, but I don't know if I want to do that. I think I want to continue selling phones and doing what I'm doing right now. And he said, okay, we're going to give you 30 days. So I went online. I found a really cool job called Cellular Sales. Keep in mind, at this time, I was making $9.90 an hour at Walmart. I applied for this job, and this woman with a thick Long Island accent, Sandy Lupo, he knows her. This woman named Sandy, great woman, she's retired now. She said to me, Brendan, that's how she sounded. And she called me Brendan forever. My name is Brandon. She's like, Brendan, how much money do you want to make here? And I was like, well, right now, Sandy, I'm making $10 an hour. Life is good, right? And she's like, honey, that's not going to cut it. I was like, okay. She's like, the average salesperson here makes $38 a month. And I was like, I couldn't even fathom that amount of money. That was like the amount of money that I earned in 6 months at Walmart. And I looked at her and I said, sign me up. I'm down. I want to make $3,800 a month. I go home to my family, and I'm going to school at this time. I go home to my family, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'm going to have this new opportunity. I'm going to be earning almost $4,000 a month selling phones. And my parents looked at me, and they said, son, that's nice. And I was like, what do you mean that's nice? That's all you're going to say? And she said, it's got to be a scam. There's no way you're going to make $4,000 a month at this sales company. And I was like, well, Mom, respectfully, I'm living in your basement right now. I have no rent, no responsibilities. I'm going to give this thing a shot. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. I gave it a shot. And this is me at 18 years old in my first suit that I had ever worn. And I felt really good. The first month I worked there, I made $3,800. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The next month I earned $5,000. The month after that, $5,500. Every month after that, there wasn't a month where I earned less than $5,000 to $6,000. I don't say that to brag. There's people in this room who surpass those numbers by light years. But at the time, being 18 years old, that was a big thing, right? I thought I had made it. I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to be earning $60,000 a year, and I wanted to wear a suit. That was literally why I became a lawyer. I had already worn the suit now, and I'm already at my goal of $60,000. My first year was $58,000. My second year was $90,000. Every year after that, I was over 6 figures, working for this cell phone company. Kyle can attest. It's true. People make great money there. Right? But for me, my only goal at the time was I want to earn a lot of money and wear a suit. That was it. And I was doing that. And it got to the point where I start buying all these nice things, right? I mean, you're probably like, dude, that's a Kia. What are you talking about? But I bought my first new car, right? That was me at 19, my first new car. Actually, I might have been 18 there, maybe 19, not that it matters, but my parents' house, still living in their basement at this point, right? But I got a fly new car in the driveway. And the year after that, I'm making 6 figures now, so I'm like, I'm just going to step it up. I'm going to go all the way. That's slide number 4, actually. Yeah, I got the BMW. Brand new BMW. I was like, life is good. I'm buying all these nice things, feeling really important, feeling really good about myself. Driving through Lake George, where I'm from, and everyone's looking at me, and I think everyone's looking at me, being like, look at this young guy, he's made it. But I had done anything but made it. I was roughly 20, 21 years old at this point. If you go back, you can tell, looking healthy, looking vibrant, gaining weight, right? A smile can be very deceiving, okay? I was making a lot of money, but every other area of my life was in the gutter. I was 60 pounds heavier. Not even there. It gets more. You'll see on the next slides. I was in tons of debt. I was unhappy about myself, low self-confidence, hardly any direction for myself professionally. I didn't know what I wanted to do, whether it was move up in the company. I was self-absorbed. People didn't want to spend time around me. I, again, wouldn't have had the confidence to do what I'm doing right now. And it got to the point where I was actually about to leave this company because I thought I'd burned the bridges inside of the company. Right? I was a negative coworker. People didn't like working with me. I didn't know how to get along with people because I was so into me. And my boss at the time said, Brandon, before you go, give this one more shot. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I was actually going to work for AT&T, which is the direct competitor of Verizon, which is cellular sales. They're the premium retailer. He's like, Brandon, you can make this better for yourself. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? He said, Brandon, you need to work on yourself. He said, how can you expect anyone here to listen to you or be led by you if you can't even respect or lead yourself? And it was some of the hardest words that I heard. I was 21. Again, I've never heard of personal development. Anyone know Tony Robbins here? Anyone familiar with Tony Robbins? I had a coworker put a Tony Robbins tape in one time. Her name is Rita. And she's playing it in the car, and I was like, what weirdos listen to this stuff? Who listens to Tony Robbins? Who quote-unquote, works on themselves? Sad people is what I thought. People who don't know what they want. But really, it was the complete opposite. I was that person, right? So I said to my boss at the time, what do I need to do? And he said, you need to read this book. And he didn't actually hand it to me in that moment. That would have been really cool. But like the next week, he gave me this book. Has anyone read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne? Kyle, you've read it. Anyone else read The Secret or see the documentary, The Secret? Oh my God, it's incredible. Raise your hand if you've heard of the law of attraction. Anyone hear of the law of attraction? Okay, awesome. So for those who haven't, the law of attraction pretty much says you attract what you put out there into the world. Okay, like attracts like. Think of yourself as a magnet, right? If you took any of us, we're going to get into the quantum theory now. If you take any of us, if I took Noah and I put him on the table right here and took the world's most powerful microscope and zoomed in on him, he'd feel very uncomfortable for one. But you would see that Noah is energy, right? We are all comprised of energy. This chair is energy. This pen is energy. Everything at the quantum level is moving at speeds faster than we could ever comprehend with the human eye. Okay, you need a nano-electro microscope or whatever they call it. The point is, there's high vibration energies, there's low vibration energies. What kind of energy was I operating on at this point in my life? What kind? Low. Very low vibration. No idea what I wanted, no plan, wasn't nurturing my mind, my body, any of that. And then I read this book. And it pretty much said one phrase that I'll always remember. It says, remember to remember. And what that means is we're going through our days constantly on autopilot, feeling the way that we feel over and over and over. Has anyone heard the stat that 99.something% of our thoughts, same thoughts that we thought the exact day before? Has anyone heard that? Yes, we're constantly reliving the same emotions, the same patterns, the same beliefs, the same states of mind. Okay? And we can use that to our advantage. Remember to remember means remember to ask yourself throughout your day, how are you feeling? Right? And if the answer is I'm not feeling too great, it doesn't mean immediately change it. The goal isn't to feel good all the time. right? If you felt good all the time, you wouldn't know what feeling good meant because you would always feel good, right? So I read this book, and my boss at the time started taking me to the gym with him 2 to 3 days a week. I would drive an hour, I'd work out with him. I was down to do anything that would improve my life. And within a short period of time, so this was me in 2016. You can kind of see the laser pointer here. This was me in 2016. Within 6 months, I lost 60 pounds. I eliminated thousands of dollars of credit card debt that I had at that point. Yes, I was making a lot of money buying the things, but it doesn't matter how much you make. It's all about what you do. Finance people here, who are you? Yeah, you know, it's all about what you do with the money that you make. I didn't understand that. Within 6 months, I made rapid changes and drastic changes. This was me in 2016 with a big plate of pasta or whatever the hell that was.
That looks like a happy guy.
No, dude, a smile's deceiving. I probably had Taco Bell twice in my life. Bad decision, many reasons. My sister sent me this picture the other day. I swear to God, the other day she sent me this, and she was like, "You've come so far with a heart." And I was like, "Why the hell did you have that picture of me? What were you doing with that? Look at, I got a protein shake behind me. Who am I kidding?" Right? And then that was me a few weeks ago. The point of showing you that is the changes are lasting, right? Because I didn't just focus on a quick fix. I didn't just take the pill like I did in high school to lose weight. I didn't just do the thing that would get me the result that I wanted quickly. I focused on what one of us mentioned, the pursuit of constant improvement. Specifically, I focused on what I call the 5 Ps of self-mastery. And I want to go over those 5 Ps with you, not to tell you what to do with your life, but again, even if one thing resonates with you here, just one thing, add it to your routine so that even 1% less of the thoughts that you're experiencing on a daily basis change, and your life begins to drastically change as a result. Is that cool if I share those with you? Yes? Awesome. The first P of the 5 Ps, and they are in a specific order. I do believe that's important. It won't be the same order for everyone, but I like to think that having a plan for what you want to do or accomplish is a very important first step. Because I live in Lake George, so I drove 4.5 hours to get here today. I guess I can't really use that as an example because I kind of know where I'm going at this point. But imagine if I didn't know how to get to Rochester and I just started driving, hoping that one day I would get there. Would I eventually get here? Nick's like, hopefully. Like, maybe he would. Maybe not. What if I drove north? Right? What if I drove into Canada, kept going, got into Alaska? Maybe I'd have a better time. Who knows? They probably have better beer. Maybe not. This is a nice brewery. But the point is, if you don't lock in the GPS for where it is you want to go, or if you don't even know where it is you want to go, then how are you going to get there? Right? So that one area you just marked yourself the lowest on, where do you want to be with that? If it's your emotions, how do you want to feel? If it's your body, how do you want to feel physically? How do you want to think about yourself when you look into the mirror? If it's finances, what do you want your bank account to look like? What's the number, or what's the state of your investments, whether it's real estate, the market, business, whatever it is? Spirituality, what would it look like to be successful spiritually? Like, simply create a target. I say simply, but sometimes it's not that easy. Create a target of where you want to be. Has anyone here ever heard of the reticular activating system? Kyle shakes his head yes. Anyone else hear of that? Oh my God. So I'm going to bring you back to 3rd grade science right now. Okay? Welcome to Rochester's finest. We're going back to 3rd grade. So this is, I'm a poor artist, by the way. My wife is the artist. This is a brain. Okay? Beautiful brain. Now it's a brain. This right here, and this is the brain stem. All right, so this little thing here that connects the brain stem to the brain, this is one of the most primal parts of your brain called the reticular activating system. Write this down in your notes, RAS. I actually encourage you to do some research on this because it's so fascinating, the idea of the RAS, what it does. Really, its only goal is to delete 99% of what's happening in your environment at any time. As an example, as you're listening to me talk to you at this moment, you're probably not noticing the loud music out there. But now you hear it. You probably haven't even noticed the hum of the electronics in the room. If you really tune in and listen in, You might even feel the pulse of blood behind your left ear. Right? You might even notice that this whole time you haven't been breathing consciously, but all of a sudden, he's like, screw you. Now you're all breathing consciously. It's because you didn't have to focus on those things. Right? But what happens when you focus on them? What you focus on expands. It's the observer effect. Right? And the RAS helps you to find what it is that you are focused on. So if you are focused on a target, you're going to find it. Has anyone heard of the very famous Harvard study that they did in 1979? Anyone hear of that study with the goal setting? Okay, so I'll just tell you real quickly. In 1979, Harvard did a study where they got their 1,500 students that were graduating that year and got them all together, and they asked them the question, raise your hand if you have clear, concise, and compelling goals for your life. What percent of students do you think rose their hand that they have clear, concise, and compelling goals?
A lot of them.
Close. 3%.
Really?
Kyle said 5. 3% had clear, concise, and they were written down. That was the difference. But even only 14% had goals that weren't written down. So you're probably like, why does that matter? So they followed up with these students 10 years later in 1989. Okay? They found that the 3% of students that actually had goals and wrote them down earned 10 times as much money as the other 97% of students combined. They weren't smarter. They didn't come from better neighborhoods. Maybe some did, but not all of them. They didn't have better circumstances. They might have even had worse upbringings. But you have to attribute that difference to the fact that they actually knew what the hell they wanted in their life. Right? For so many years, I floated by. I wandered. I just did whatever I thought I had to do. Everything changed for me. Wrote the book, started the business, the YouTube channel, the podcast, met incredible people, great friends like Kyle. I wouldn't even be here without Kyle. I started to become intentional. And we're all intentional right now, but there's a part of our life that we want to stop being unintentional about, right? And these 5 P's will help you do that. But take that RAS, do some research on it, really study it, because when you focus on what it is you want, when you write down each day why you're grateful to have that thing, even if you don't already have it, you're going to be telling your brain, hey, look for this thing. Have you guys ever bought a car and, well, let me ask you, has anyone here bought a new car in the last few years? Anyone? Okay. Yes. What happens after you buy a new car? What do you start to see around town? The same car. The newer model, and you're like, damn it, I should have waited for the 2025 version or whatever the hell's coming up next. You see the same car in the same color, and you're like, that person copied me. They saw me, and they wanted the same thing, right? But the reality is, were those cars always there for the most part? They were always there. Your reticular activating system was simply focused on something different. Cool, right? Brain science, fun stuff, especially when it relates to your success. The second P is power. Power. When you think of power, what do you think of? Crazy question, but what comes to mind when I say power, what does that mean? Because I'm talking about 2 things specifically. Energy, yeah. Let's work from that, okay? What creates energy? If you wanted to right now, how could you create massive energy right now? You probably know this being an Olympian. How can you create massive energy? 2 ways. Red Bull, without drugs, without stimulants. How can you do it? There's 2 ways. Making a decision, okay? Yeah, so let's work from that. There's the first thing that can create energy is before I write it, let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever been feeling lazy? You were on the couch, you were watching television, and all of a sudden your phone's vibrating, and you pick it up and you see someone who you haven't talked to in a long time. And you pick it up and they give you some great news. Or you're just sitting down, you're 99%ing it with your thoughts like we talked about earlier. And then all of a sudden something really cool in your life happens. You received some good news, you were given a gift, something, and your mood changed instantly. Has that happened with anyone here before? Why did you feel better all of a sudden in an instant? People pay thousands of dollars a year for pills that make them feel better, right? But why do they do that when you can feel better instantly? What's happening there? What changed? You shifted your focus. Yes, you made a decision, which created an action, right? You shifted your focus. This is the number one way to create massive levels of energy on demand, changing what it is you focus on, right? When people say, I can't do that, there's no way that can happen, who has higher energy in that moment? The person saying that or the person saying, I don't know how to do it, but there must be a way. It must be able to be done. Has anyone heard the story of Roger Bannister? Does anyone know the name Roger Bannister? Anyone? I look at you because I know you're into sports. You know Roger Bannister? Not him personally. I don't think he's alive anymore. But Roger Bannister was the first human being to run the 4-minute mile. The first human to ever do it. This was in the 1900s, by the way. This was recent history. No human has ever done it in recorded history. Everyone was trying. People were trying. They eventually said, it's impossible. It can't be done. And Roger Bannister said, I'm going to do it. Every day he went to the starting line of the actual race he was going to do. And he visualized in his mind a stopwatch. And the stopwatch said 3 minutes, 59 seconds. He saw the time that he wanted in his mind. He did it every day, ran, until eventually he did it. And he actually got, I think, 3 minutes and 58 seconds or something along those lines. He visualized the win beforehand. What do you think happened the following year after Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile? Everyone else was doing it. I think 17 other people did it the following year. But it was never done in recorded history. Well, Roger Bannister said, what can I focus on that will actually make this possible? Rather than people who said this can't be done. Right? As a lawyer, I'm sure that you are in these situations all the time. Like, this case seems kind of helpless, but what can I do? Right? How can I present this? So what you focus on gives you energy, right? What else can give you energy? What you do with your body. Yes. I got to start giving books out. You already have a book, right? Okay, cool. So I'll keep a mental track here. Let's do an example. I'm not going to have you do anything crazy, I promise. But if you're able, can you please stand? I know these chairs kind of have you already standing, but actually stand with your legs. She's like, I'm going to stand, but I'm bringing my beer with me. So as you're standing, all I want you to do is relax. Just relax. Put your arms to your sides. Breathe freely. Breathe consciously. Breathe in your nose, out your mouth. And I even want you to do something, okay, I will have you do something a little bit crazy, but I won't have you get too crazy. I would like you to stand with your hands on your hips like this. Just like this. Be a weirdo. It's okay. I'm a weirdo with you. And put your chin towards the sky like this. Anyone know what this is called?
Superman pose.
Yeah, the power pose. Harvard did a study about this, I believe in 2018, where when you stand like this for 2 minutes, it actually increases the amount of testosterone in your bloodstream by 20%. And it lowers your levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, by 10%. And they do this on Grey's Anatomy before they do a surgery. Anyone watch Grey's Anatomy? Yes, that's how you know. I love that. Super cool. Hey, I'm with you, brother. My wife watches it, but I watch it with her. Now, does anyone feel different now that you're actually standing, you're breathing, the blood's flowing? Does anyone feel different just from a few seconds of doing this? Be honest, raise your hand. Yeah, Nick's like, I feel better. It only takes a few seconds. Now, if you did this for 2 minutes, you'd get the benefits, but there's faster ways to feel good with your body. You don't need to stand like this for 2 minutes, but it's a surefire way to do it. So if you'd like, you may take a seat. Changing what you do with your body can change the way you feel instantly. Right? Are you more likely to go after your goal if you're feeling good in that moment? Of course, it's a stupid question, but that's where power comes into play. How can you make it easiest for yourself to achieve the goal that you want? I'm all about making things easy. Right? I was a gamer growing up. In high school, I played World of Warcraft, I played RuneScape. Anyone else here play games growing up? Yeah, super cool. Zelda?
No, she said I still do.
Oh, you still do? I freaking love that. So I grew up like that. I'm all about the easiest path to the win. Right? If you feel good, most of the time, it's going to be easier to get to that win. Okay? So what you do with your body, we're going to call this your physiology. If we have some time at the end, we'll do something really fun. Kind of weird, but really fun. So your focus in your physiology is what changes how you feel, but Has anyone here been about to go to the gym and they were tired and they just woke up? And Mike's like, this morning. Yeah. But what happens 5 minutes into your workout? Not even. You feel good because you moved. You moved your body. The way that you move your body, your emotions are linked with your body, the mind-body connection. We've all heard of it, but we know it intellectually, but a lot of us don't practice it all the time, including myself. Right? So again, one thing that can make a difference. Now we get to the third P. Okay, the third P is locking in on your purpose. I sold phones for a long time before I discovered what my purpose was. And my purpose isn't related to just phones. Just like you finance guys, your purpose isn't related to the stock market or to a real estate portfolio or to whatever else you do in the finance world. Your purpose isn't related to the textbook or law or studying it. If I had to guess, I would reckon to say that your purpose has to do with helping people. Is that right? And once you find this purpose, and I say find it because it's hard to go looking for it if you haven't found it yet, but you can do things in order to find it quicker. I didn't find my purpose until a year into me being a leader. I remember my boss, who was my mentor, who helped me to make these big changes. Here I am now, feeling good, looking the best I've ever looked, moving up in the company. I'm now a trainer, and I'm like, oh my God, what's next? And my boss said, Brandon, I'm giving a training in a few weeks. Do you want to head that training? Do you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about? So I decided to talk about time management and a new sales strategy we were in. And I said, hell yeah, I'll do that. But I was really so nervous because I've never spoken in front of a room before. And I prepared and I over-prepared and I had notes upon notes. Someone saw my notebook at the end and they're like, dude, this looks like the writing of a serial killer. And I was like, you should see my basement. Just kidding. And I got there and I did it. And at the end of that presentation, I was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I am meant to be helping people in this kind of setting to improve their life, to not just make more money, but to use that money to create a better life for themselves, to operate at a higher level, to feel better overall. And I said to him, is it okay if I deliver every training? And he said, yeah, absolutely, please take it off my hands. He didn't want to be in front of the room presenting. So I started to do that, and that led to new opportunities. It led to me traveling upstate New York as the market trainer. And I don't think we knew each other before I started to do that. Yeah, and I traveled, and I was... Yeah, pretty much. And I was here, I was in Buffalo, I was in North Country, Hudson Valley, down south. I was everywhere giving trainings. And it got to the point where I was like, I'm living my purpose here with this company, but I want to do more. And they fully supported me. They said, Brandon, we'll pay for you to go to the National Speaker Association and learn how to actually turn this speaking thing into an actual business where people will pay you to talk. And I was like, that's super cool. I didn't know you can get paid to talk. So I wrote my book in 2019, and that was related to my purpose. I started my YouTube channel, which now is pretty much a full-time podcast, where I want to talk to some of you. I know that for a fact, especially you with what you're doing with the stuff. And all of you have interesting stories. But I talk to people from all different areas of life that talk about fitness and emotions and health that help other people to live a better life as well. So I definitely want to talk to you guys. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to connect with you. Yeah?
Before you started doing, before your first, right? Before the first time you talked in front of cytosis, what were you feeling emotionally, like before you got up there?
Before I got in front of the room or before I made those changes?
Before you got in front of the room.
Oh, very nervous. Very nervous. Nervous is good, though. You should feel nervous before, even today, before. Once you get there, it's a little bit different, but there's uncertainty, right? There's that risk that you're taking. I just heard, anyone listen to Joe Rogan? Yeah, Joe Rogan just talked about this in one of his recent episodes. He's like, whenever you get on that stage, whether it's being a comedian, which those are the greatest public speakers in the world, comedians. I can't imagine being a comedian. They have to remember an hour of jokes in a perfect and perfectly delivered way. He's like, if you're not nervous before you get on that stage, that's a bad sign. Right? So before you take any kind of risk, you're gonna feel those nerves. So the point of this and the point of you writing down your unique abilities is, how can you tie in these unique abilities in order to help other people? Because if I asked you what brings you the most joy, what makes you feel the most successful, a lot of it probably has to do with doing something for your family or with your family or for the ones you love or for other people. How do you feel when you give a gift to somebody that it wasn't asked for? Feels pretty great, right? It makes us sometimes feel even better than the person who actually received the gift, right? So how are you linking in what you do today with what your purpose is? You don't need to switch career paths in order to find your purpose. I thought that you did, and I was wrong. And I'm glad that I didn't switch, because that's when my boss gave me the opportunity to truly...
I have a question for you, sorry.
Please, no, thank you.
I don't want to throw a tough one at you.
Please, any,
Okay.
tough included.
You said that like people like helping other people.
Yeah.
Do you see that more with introverts or extroverts? Like, do extroverts have more of a fulfillment with helping another person versus an introvert more doing something for themselves? Does that make sense?
It does. And I would have to say, raise your hand if you're more introverted in this room. That's me, by the way. I'm introverted. A lot of us. Super cool. So I am a natural introvert. Again, gamer growing up. This is me stepping out of that zone in order to help people in the way that I love helping people. But the answer is we do it in different ways. So raise your hand if you're extroverted. Yeah, the way that you help people is going to be very different than the way that an introvert helps people. As an example, a lot of introverts do things behind the scenes, right? They're on the computer, they're doing the project management, they're doing things that helps the greater good without having to interact with a ton of people in order to do it. Yeah, you're in IT, or again, 90% of what you do is studying for the event, and then 10% of it is the event. And that's a lot of what I do. I'm an introvert, but I learn these things, and then I want to teach them to other people. So this is like 5% of what I do is what I'm doing right now. But this is what brings me the greatest joy, is what I'm doing right now. So everything else that I do is leading me up to this moment now. So I'd have to say the answer is it's just different ways for different people.
What would you say about an introvert in sales?
That was me. That was me. And you have to be able to do what Noah talked about. You have to be able to make yourself into the person that's sitting across from you. And I don't mean like sit the way that they sit, talk in the exact tone they talk in. Like, those are old school sales tactics. You don't need to literally mirror the person across from you. But if Noah comes in and he's talking like this, and he's talking softly, he's talking slowly, I'm not going to be talking like this saying, hey, this is the best phone that you're going to like. This is definitely what you need to do, and I want you to do it now. Right? They're going to be like, I want to go sit with someone else. Right? But if they're like this and they want to go quick and they want to go fast, we call that person a dynamo. You probably remember that. But thinkers is a different personality type. You're going to treat a thinker very different than you're going to treat a dynamo. Like when I'm dealing with a thinker, someone, which is my hardest one to adapt with, is a thinker. But when I'm working with thinkers, I know they need facts, I know they need stats, and I know I need to speak their language if I'm going to make a sale that day. So the answer, adapt to the other people, right? Yeah. And again, this is just what I've learned through my years of doing this. People is the fourth P. All right, the people that you spend the time around. Really, when it comes to people, I'll break it up into two pieces here. The first piece is my business career went through the stratosphere when I started to network, but not just network, because we all do this, right? But intentionally network, right? Not the whole going to a BNI event or a networking event, because some BNIs are great and they don't do this, but it's just card, business card, business card. You get home away, right? That's why I'm like, scan the QR code, because I know if I give you a card, it's going to go in the garbage. And I don't take offense to that. It's just 2022, right?
Oh man, it goes in my desk drawer.
Oh, thank you.
Then we shred it.
In the darkness. When I started to intentionally network with other people and truly learn about other people and ask, what do you want? Like, what are your goals? How can I help you get there? And does anyone know Lewis Howes of the School of Greatness? Has anyone seen that show? Yep, Kyle has. Really, another great show, by the way, if you're into personal development. Watch mine first, but that's a really good one, too. But he talks about the number one thing he's thinking about when he's networking with anybody is, do I know someone who can create an immediate result for this person? Can I help them right now somehow? Do I know someone where I'll be able to make a connection before this call ends that helps this person? So intentionally networking is one thing. But that wasn't actually my intention when I first wrote the book, and people was one of the P's of self-mastery. People was the people that I was surrounding myself with on a daily basis. I was surrounding myself with two friends in particular who were on totally different wavelengths from me. Totally different. They were smoking weed in their house, which nothing against people who do that, by the way. It's just that's all they did, right? And they were home doing that. They were gaming all day, every day, being late to work, not showing up to work, not wanting to do anything else with their life. And I like these people, 2 people specifically. I really like them. They're my childhood friends. I love them. They're like my brothers. But I couldn't spend time with them anymore because I found that the more I spent time with them, the more I started to adopt the things that they were doing in their own life. So I had to break it off. It was like breaking up with a significant other. I've never actually broken up with a girlfriend, but it was like I was breaking up. I know what it's like because I did it with these 2 friends. And I remember I texted one of them and I said, hey man, I was probably mean, and he told me I was kind of mean later on, but I was like, hey man, we can't spend time together for a long time. I was like, we're on different wavelengths, we have different goals. This isn't working for either of us. Definitely don't want to cut you off completely, but we got to stop spending time around each other because it was like several times a week. And all they wrote was like, okay. But several years later, I actually met up with them. This was about probably a year ago. And we went to an open mic night. And he said, Brandon, I just want to say to you before we go in, you changed my life when you broke up with me. He didn't say that because that'd be weird. But he's like, when you broke up with me, you changed my life. And I was like, how? He's like, well, when you first sent me that text, it put me in a really dark place. And I was like, oh, shit, I feel so bad. I feel terrible. And he's like, no, really. Like, I was in a dark place for a moment, but I realized that you were right. And I started to make changes in my life. And he actually got a good job. He eliminated things out of his own routines that weren't good for him. And I realized that cutting off people who weren't supporting me, and I don't mean that in a selfish way. Do you see what I mean when I say that? Getting around new groups, like a Toastmasters group or this group, and really going on one-on-ones with the people in this group to meet them more. Even if you're in the same industry, you can help each other. Getting around like-minded people who charge your battery rather than drain your battery. When you leave their presence, you feel better as a result. My only goal for you leaving here today is I want you to feel better when you leave. And I know the alcohol is going to help. But if that wasn't the case, then I know it's a variable that's hard to eliminate now, but I want you to feel good when you leave. Feel good because you're empowered to make a change. So analyze, who are the 3 people I'm spending the most time around? Because Jim Rohn said you are the 3 to 5 people that you're spending the most time around. And finally, when it comes to all of this, when it comes to that one area that you listed as, not the weakness, because I don't like that word, but the area that can use the most improvement, the area that you want to improve in. When it comes to that, I'm not asking you to go through hoops and implement all these things immediately. All I'm asking you to do is each day, if this is the starting line here, make a 1% difference each day and become 1% better and 1% better and 1% better and 1% better and 1% better. And then all of a sudden, you're going through the stratosphere. But you started here. But change happens in an instant. Who mentioned decision? You mentioned making a decision makes you feel good. Yes, because you change in the instant that you make the decision. So if you say, I want to get my body into shape, right? And you decide, saying something and deciding are very different, but when you truly decide, something happens in your body, in your soul, in your mind, where the change has already happened. Now it's all about making a 1% difference every single day. Until you get there. The math is actually incredible. The math says that if you make a 1% difference for each day of a year, 365 days, you take 1 to the 365th power. I think that's how the math people do it. It says that after a year, you have become 37% better. And it's not the sexiest number, 37%. Like we want to hear like 365% growth. But after 5 years, imagine what you could do. My life looks very different than 5 years ago. Raise your hand if your life looks very different than 5 years ago in a positive way. Yeah, some hands were like, Urgh. But the next 5 years can be like you've never imagined it. And I always tell people, create the plan, which is the first P, but you never truly know what's going to happen 5 years from now. Like, I never would have known that I'd be in this room talking with you today. But you can create a general idea of what you want your life to look like. Because if you create that idea and you make a 1% difference, within the next 6 months, I can guarantee you that your life will look very different in a very positive and a beautiful way. So that's the 5 Ps. I hope they served you well. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention being here with me today. And I hope that you use it and feel empowered and change your lives. Thank you.